Oh, there we go. Hi, guys. Okay, it is Jillian. I am your number one source for professional blogging and online business. And I wanted to come in today to talk about my most recent podcast episode. And I'm going to adjust my screen here. And it's all about selling. So I have these 5 tenets, 5, not 10, 5 tenets of what it takes to be a successful blogger. So remember, we are bloggers. We're successful bloggers. I interview bloggers on my podcast, the Blogger Genius podcast. And I also coach groups of bloggers. And it's interesting because I can see certain patterns. And there are 5 things that successful bloggers really all do. The first is that they are in a very, very specific niche, like really concrete. So they're not just, let's say, knitters, but they do a certain kind of knitting. Or they're not just DIYers, but they do a certain kind of DIY. So that's the first thing. Second thing is they sell something. And that's what we're going to talk about today. They all sell something. So initially, remember, bloggers made all their money via traffic, ads on their site and via sponsored content. And ads now are harder to come by in terms of making any significant income. It's a great way to have passive income, but you're not going to necessarily get rich on ads just because traffic is hard and you have to scale. We're talking millions and millions of page views. And the other thing is sponsor content's great when you can get it, but brands demand more and it's harder to scale that part of your business, especially if you're a solopreneur. It's not like you can take on more sponsored content because you've done, it's not like you get to take something you've created and then repurpose it into another sponsored piece of content. You have to kind of reinvent the wheel every single time. So therefore, I recommend you figure out what to sell. Okay, and wait, the 4th thing that successful bloggers do, they test. They figure out how to test quickly, test stuff with their audience to see if their audience is interested in, let's say, maybe my audience wants to buy this from me, or maybe my audience wants to buy this from me. So how do I test these ideas quickly? We're going to talk about that. And then the 5th thing they do is they lean in to their analytics. So they're not just waking up in the morning and going, what should I blog about? They know what they're going to blog about because they're looking at their analytics. They're looking at their Google Search Console and they're saying, hey, what's already working for me and what can I build off of? Those are the 5. And then I'm going to start saying there's a 6th thing that they do, which is they show up live. They do. They put their face on camera. So they're not just doing video, like where you've got like hands and pans, or where they're narrating. They're actually showing their faces. And that's really important because you want to build this one-on-one relationship with your audience. So it's not one-to-many. It's honestly one-to-one. Like when I'm talking to you in my mind, I'm thinking about one person that I can help with what I'm saying, one person where this can resonate. So I'm not thinking about like I'm in a stadium and I'm like talking to so many people. It's one. Okay, so those are the things that I recommend that I see over and over again that successful bloggers are doing. So I wanted to talk about selling because selling is weird. Like a lot of blogging is weird. Showing up and putting your face on camera is weird, but selling is hard. You first of all, what are you going to create? And what I say is, first of all, you've got a couple things to pull from. One is your own intuition, your own hypothesis. So your niche really well. What is your audience struggling with? And I'm going to say this, which is like a new concept I am thinking about, which is I want you to sell something that is very basic to your audience. So let's say I have a skill. Let's say, again, I teach people how to sew. I don't want to create products for advanced sewers. I want to create products for beginning sewers because think about the pool of sewers. Chances are there are many more novice people in my audience than there are experts. And I can probably help the novices more and I could lean into that. So I want you to think basic, more basic than you think when thinking about a product. So first thing is your own intuition, like what you're talking, hopefully your audience is talking to you. Let's by the way, that's not an easy thing. Like there have been many times where I've said, hey guys, like talk to me, email me, I want to help you. And it's crickets. So you have to continually talk to people, build relationships one-on-one. And when you can, ask somebody, hey, can I get on the phone with you? Like if somebody, you have a couple super fans and I want you to hold those people really tight and I want you to cultivate the relationship with them. Hold on, I'm doing a live. So I want you to really like take this as a like hold those people in high regard and ask them, can I get on the phone with you? Can I email you? Can I talk to you about what content I'm creating that is resonating with you? What can I help you with? So that's my second thing. So the first thing is think intuitively. I'm an expert at this. And again, you don't have to be an expert. You can be an advanced beginner, just that you're a little bit ahead of other people. So what intuitively do you think your audience is struggling with? Your audience, what are they struggling with? Ask those people who love you if you can talk to them and cultivate a relationship. And then the third is, again, looking at your analytics to go, what's resonating? What are people coming to me for? So I might think I'm an expert at this. And then you look at your analytics and you go, whoa, they're really like leaning. I was talking to a blogger the other day and like, she's a lifestyle blogger. She's got a lot of content, but what were people responding to that she was creating? Cricket content, which is just a very narrow niche or a narrow part of what she's blogging about. But it's like she's getting tremendous traffic with cricket stuff. And I'm saying, guess what? Lean into cricket because people seem to really want that. So if you're thinking about a product, where are people really excited about what you're offering, and think about creating something around that. So that's how you start to look out in the world and go, oh my God, I don't even know where to start thinking about a product. And then little by little, you start to pull this stuff together. And then I want you to think in terms of, again, basic, my new favorite word. And what could you create that's small? Maybe an ebook, maybe some sort of quick guide, that kind of thing. It might be something that you give away as an opt-in, or it might be something you're going to monetize for a very small amount. But what you're going to do is you're going to kind of think about this as a ladder. Like, I'm going to start by solving a very small problem for my audience. And then if they like it, then I'm going to figure out what the bigger problem is, and then even what the biggest problem is. And this is how you start to figure out your product. So what I don't want you to do, I don't recommend you do, is go off and go, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I can help people with. I'm going to go spend the next 6 months creating a course. And then I'm going to take all these classes on how to launch that course with an open cart and a closed cart and all this stuff. And I'm going to invest all this money and I'm going to invest all this time. And I say, no. I want you to test it. I want you to test it small. I want you to do B- work, which is something that I always talk about. And I want you to really do it kind of down and dirty, be a little embarrassed by what you're putting out there. But at each step, like let's say you've got those like super fans, check in with them, have them help you build this product. But I want you to be embarrassed. I really do. I know that sounds crazy, but by being embarrassed, what that means is you're getting it out and you're testing it and you're taking people's temperatures and you're saying, would you be interested in this? Okay. Ooh, maybe it's not exactly this way. Maybe I need to pivot a little bit this way. It's constantly like figuring out where it's going to connect. And even though you have hypotheses, and they're pretty smart hypotheses, because again, you know your audience or you know your content, you're the expert, you might be wrong. So if you're wrong, I don't want you to waste a ton of time thinking about this or working on it. I want you to be putting out little embarrassing tests and getting your audience on your side. Like if you can get them invested in what you're creating, how awesome is that? Then they've got a sense of ownership. They've got a little bit of skin in the game. I don't want you to think of yourself as like you're on a mountaintop. No, you're right down there with your audience. You're right down there rolling up your sleeves and saying, I think I've got something to help you. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me how I can lean into this to really help you. So those are my tips on how to figure out what to sell. So for us, okay, so with Catch My Party, which is our first site, we're the largest party ideas site on the web, and we give out free party printables. And it's some of our best traffic drivers. So we do that to get traffic. And then what I realized is, what if I could do an upsell and I could sell more kind of the printables, like I give some of them away, but then if you want to really throw a party and have everything you need, you can buy printables from me. And what we discovered was that really worked. People would be interested, people who are downloading our free printables, if I put an upsell in front of them and said, hey, okay, but now you can get the invitation and the personalized banner. Would you buy it? And guess what? People raised their hand and said yes, because they pulled out their wallets and they bought it. And that was a very simple test I did with one set of printables. And now I think we do this with like 10 or maybe even 15 sets of printables where I saw it work once. And I said, okay, what is the most popular printable that drives traffic? So I looked in my analytics and I went, okay, it's Minecraft. People want Minecraft. Okay, so what if we could sell some additional Minecraft printables? Boom, it clicked. And then I went, what can I move on to next? And that was how I built this out. And it's been pretty successful. And so what I'm always doing is looking at my analytics and going, what is working and what can I now monetize on top of that? So think about that. But it was a small test. I probably paid somebody $45 to make those printables. It was worth it. It wasn't a huge investment to go, does this work or doesn't it? My hypothesis is that it will. I know people are reaching out to me about Minecraft content, the free Minecraft printables, and then boom, it worked. So then we just rolled it out for lots of different kinds of party themes. So think about that. Okay, now people then say to me, should I be on Etsy? Should I be on Shopify? How do I do this? Should I, put up like a WooCommerce store in my blog? And I always say, if you can, test things on Etsy. Etsy, the difference between Etsy, let's talk about Etsy versus Shopify, and WooCommerce kind of fits in with Shopify. It's like your own store, your own storefront. Etsy, you don't own your shop, right? You are building a store on borrowed land. People will call that like sharecropping. And yeah, you are in a way a sharecropper. However, think of it also like Amazon, right? If you sell on Amazon, it's the platform is Amazon. And then you can sell products with Etsy. You have an Etsy shop on Etsy. Now, the best thing about Etsy is it's got a built-in audience of people looking for stuff. If you do not have a lot of traffic to your blog, it's a lot harder then to get traffic to your Shopify store because you are responsible for driving that. So you are going to be hustling on social media, SEO, all of that. And it's a slow build. It's possible, absolutely. You might be having to then invest and buy ads to drive people to your shop and your site. Etsy is easier to test on because that audience is already there. So all you need to focus on your keywords and getting first of all, product, looking at what's already out there in your space and seeing if you could do it just a little bit better, a little bit different to see if people will purchase what you're putting out there. Because people will go, yeah, but if I'm selling jewelry, there are so many people selling jewelry, how do I get mine found? Well, that's the tricky part. But if you're selling something that's really that people want, guess what? They're going to buy it. And if you're using keywords successfully, strategically, they're going to buy it. So now both Shopify and Etsy are keyword focused. So you really have to think intentionally about the keywords that you are using to describe your product. And you want to be, again, coming at it from different angles. So let's say I'm selling jewelry. Maybe it's a great gift idea, but maybe it's a great bridal shower gift, or maybe it's something that somebody, I don't know, a young girl would want to purchase. So you want to be targeting all these different reasons for people to want to buy your product. You might go, yeah, but I made this for pregnant women or something, maybe it's some sort of, I don't know, some necklace or something. You got to think beyond just the audience that you think is going to resonate with it to go, who else out there would resonate with that? So so here's the thing that's interesting. It's usually not it's not an or, like I sell on Shopify or I sell on Etsy. Typically what I have found is people start on Etsy and then they open a Shopify store, but they still sell on Etsy. And then sometimes they move on also to Amazon. So I wouldn't think about it in terms of one or the other. I would think about it in terms of additive. So I had this expert on my podcast, my last episode, which was episode, I think, 144. Let me see. I think that's right. And her name's Elle McCann, and she sets up Shopify stores and all of this. And she said, if you're making about $1,000 on Etsy, that's a time when you might consider opening a Shopify store. So I thought that was interesting that she gave me an actual number to really be keeping in the back of your mind to say, at what point do I pivot? Or do I not even pivot, but do I expand my business to include Shopify? So that I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to, again, mention keywords. And I wanted to say that you want to lean into having a cohesive look for your store and figuring out in terms of social media, if it's just you selling something, I wouldn't recommend being everywhere in terms of social media. What I recommend is being where your audience is. Where are those people who automatically would purchase whatever you're selling, and be where they already are. So for example, if your audience is on TikTok and you hate TikTok, I still recommend you be there. And if your audience, you love Facebook, but your audience isn't on Facebook, I don't recommend you be there. I recommend you learn how, one or two social media platforms. I recommend you have a presence on everyone, but I don't recommend you spend tons of time on all of them, because then you kind of end up spending tons of time on none. Figure out where your audience is and be there and show up regularly. So for example, I love my Facebook group and people seem to really enjoy my content. And so it kind of is a win-win. And I love the closeness of this group. Okay. This is the other thing that I think I'm seeing over and over again, which is right now, this is like this crazy, crazy time. And we are all starved for connection. Hopefully, if you are with your family, you have that kind of connection. But in terms of the outside world, like you go out on the street or you go to the grocery store and everybody is like a potential threat. And it's doing weird stuff to our brains. And so there is something about connecting online in an authentic way. Every expert that I'm talking to about social media is saying what is really working is when people show up who they are. So it's not like, okay, I've gotten my hair done and I'm, got the best lighting and now I'm going to go live and it's going to be this completely kind of like fake experience, but it looks good. No, people are really leaning into showing up real, warts and all, authentic. So if you are selling, I recommend you do the same. Show up real. And it's not just about asking for the sale. It's, hey guys, I want you to get to know me and why I've created this product and how I think it can help you, make you happy, all that stuff. Let me show you how I make it. Let me tell you the story of how I came up with it. Let me let you in on the journey. So for example, we work with this Etsy seller, and she sells balloon garlands, and she lets people in to her closet, to her third bedroom where she's got all of her balloons, and she shows people how she puts them together, and therefore they feel this affinity toward her. They buy from her, they come back and they buy again. Shout out, by the way, to Lauren for oh how charming. And there's a real, it's not just you're buying from an anonymous person. They understand what she's doing and why she's doing this. And she wants you to have an unbelievable experience, and she's invested, and then you're invested. So again, showing up with not great lighting. Like I've got my ring light here is not doing a lot, but you know what? I'm showing up because I said I'm going to show up on Mondays at 3. And so here I am, and I just want to connect. So that is my thought about it. So again, if you sell stuff, you have to balance being authentic and asking for the sale. You do want to ask for the sale, but you don't just only want to ask for the sale. And you don't just only want to provide content or provide help. You also are a business person. So it's a balancing act between asking for the sale and also showing up with value, with behind the scenes, with authenticity. So please keep that in mind. The other thing that I wanted to say is that email, if you sell something, email is your best friend. Think of social media as top of the funnel, meaning you get it's how you find people who might be attracted to what you're selling. But it's really like when you close that sale, typically it's going to come from email. So focus on getting people on your list. If you're serious about selling, especially with a Shopify store, think about investing in a service like Klaviyo, which is all about e-commerce. Like it will give you, say, abandoned cart email sequences, meaning somebody puts something of yours in the cart and then doesn't buy. What happens then? Well, Klaviyo has all of these email automations where it'll be like, hey, I think you forgot something, and help you turn those into conversions. So email, really important. I recommend you start growing your list now, even before you have something to sell, because it is all about that building of that relationship. So please make that a priority. Instagram is fun, but email is more like, as somebody who I interviewed on my podcast, Sarah Williams said, it's like an ATM. Like she sends emails, boom, and she makes sales. So think about that. And the other thing is also, if you are selling stuff, to think about how you can make the sale special. So for example, highlighting a product a week, doing it almost as a launch, like, hey guys, I wanted to share this product. And I talk about this, which I think this is a really great way to think about it, which is as if you are animating your own product. So therefore, if you sell t-shirts, wear one, model it, show it off, hold it up, really give life to that t-shirt, because you want to give people, you want to make it look exciting. You don't just want to say, show up live and not be showing off what you sell. So really animate your product, show why it's beautiful, show why it's special. If it's something that you can wear, put it on, model it, be your own model for your product. Wait, before I finish, I've got this new thing. Banners. Look at that. Sign up for my weekly Blogger Genius podcast cheat sheet at bloggergenius.com. So if you go to bloggergenius.com and sign up every week. So I do a podcast episode from the Blogger Genius. I send an email where I share my 4 biggest takeaways from that episode. And I do this because that way, I know we're all so busy and we subscribe to a bunch of podcasts. And this way you can stay up on what is really happening in online business. And then if you are intrigued or if it's relevant to what you're looking at, you can listen to the episode. But it's a way of just getting the cliff notes of what's happening now in online business. Online business and blogging change constantly. I'm continually updating just how I think about things, kind of like now I'm talking about showing your face, showing up live, and that has all been since COVID. So that's one thing where all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, that's changing for me, of going, I want to prioritize that and I want you to prioritize that. And the other thing, for example, that I'm recognizing is this idea of be more basic than you think. We discredit kind of the beginning stuff that we already know, and we don't think people are interested in that. And I want to say, no, like if you had a choice, lean into that. Okay. So I do recommend you animate your own products. I recommend you create excitement around your products. I recommend you highlight certain products. We all want to be told what to do. not in a mean way, not in a mommy sort of way, but in a way of like, life is busy. So it's why, for example, on Pinterest pins, I recommend you have an actual call to action on the pin. People go, yeah, but everybody knows on Pinterest that you're supposed to click. But if you write the words click, wow, it triggers something in people's minds. Therefore, I recommend you highlight a product that you think is going to be beneficial for that person and solve a problem, make them happy, whatever it is. But instead of saying like, go pick from one of 100 products that I'm selling, it's kind of like, here, this one, this is really special. This is what I know if you bought this, this would make you happy or would change your life or would, solve some problem you're struggling with. So really highlight certain things. Think about it as launching certain products, putting them front and center rather than saying, you decide, I'm just going to put out a bunch of stuff and you decide. No, you're the editor. You're the expert. You're the influencer. So go influence and from a place of help, from a place of I want to make your life better. Okay. And the other thing, final thing that I wanted to share, this is another thing that I talk about a lot, B- work. And I say it, I want to say in almost every podcast that I do and in a lot of my Facebook lives, B- work, B- work. Why? Because it gets you moving. So one, it's above average work, right? I'm not saying just phone it in. I'm saying do a pretty good job, but I don't want it to be a perfect job. Remember, perfect isn't profitable. B- is profitable. Therefore, B- gets you moving faster, gets you to get out of your own way, enables you to put up stuff that you think is raw, that maybe I might not think so. I might not think is raw, but you will. It enables you to push yourself and potentially be embarrassed when you launch something. And I want you to be embarrassed, weirdly, because I don't think it's going to be an embarrassment with a big capital E, but it gets you going. So when I was talking to Elle about, I said, what are some mistakes people make with their Shopify store? And her thing is they're optimizing and optimizing and optimizing and not launching. And the faster you launch anything, but especially a Shopify store, the faster you learn. Because remember, you just have a hypothesis and you want to constantly test it. So the way you test it is put it out in front of people, see how they respond. That's what's really powerful. You are co-creating with your customers, with your visitors. You don't know. Again, I want you to think about that idea of like, you're not on a mountaintop, you're right down there, your boots on the ground. And the more you can think of yourself that way, the more you can think about, I put it out there, you respond. I then iterate, put it out again, you respond. And together we're weirdly growing my business. And I'm hopefully providing help, providing solutions, being your friend. I mean, that's really how it works. So B- work and go and be embarrassed. And it's messy and embrace that. It's not clean. There's another truth. No blogger has it all together. No blogger doesn't have nights where he or she is up at night worrying about their business and the decisions that they need to make. It is everybody. Everybody's in that. So that is why I say do not, perfection will kill you. And B- work is the way to go. Those are my thoughts. So if anybody has any questions, or I'm using this new thing called StreamYard and just trying to figure it out, but it doesn't look like I've got questions now. But if you watch the repeat of this, please let me know in a comment, because I would love to respond back and hear what you thought of this and maybe what your biggest takeaway is. Because again, I'm co-creating with you. I want to know what you think so I can do a better job of serving you. So that's what I've got. Okay. If you do not subscribe to the Blogger Genius podcast, please do. I would love it. And please then sign up for my weekly cheat sheet that will come to your inbox on Sundays. And I would love to have you as part of my community. So that is what I want to say on a Monday. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And I will pop in next Monday. Okay, bye-bye.